Namaste. Assalamu alaikum. Dzień dobry. Hola, ciao. Konnichiwa. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Ken at 10. How are you today? Hope you're doing well. If you've just arrived here and wondering what's going on, well, welcome along. Thanks for coming. And where you been? Come back every day, please. We're here at 10 o'clock. My name's Ken. That's why it's Ken at 10. I know. So clever, right? And we're estate agents. We're based in Southwest London, SW16 to be precise, an area called Norbury, which is fabulous. And if you're looking for a buy-to-let investment or a first-time buy, then we are where you should be. We're between Streatham and Croydon, or Streatham and Thornton Heath, depending on how local you are and what you know. And fantastic little area with a great community, reasonable prices, zone 3 commuting. So you should be here. We talk every day about things, property and general stuff and life, really. So how are you today? I hope you're doing well. Here in Norbury, we have blue skies, which is quite nice. It's lovely to see a blue sky after all the grey and darkness over the last few weeks. So that's nice to see. A few things on property. The number of buyers contacting agents between January the 2nd and 12th was up by 12%, and sales agreed up 9% compared with last year. That's from Rightmove. That's interesting because we found that actually the difference is a lot higher. And it's interesting to see that there's only a 12% increase. Seems lower to me than I would have anticipated. He also says, and this is Tim Bannister, the Director of Property Data, that the tax savings brought about an added incentive, whilst also he warned there are still a huge number of sales agreed that are stuck in the processing logjam and awaiting completion. Now, we've been saying for some time that if you are selling now and you're looking to, or buying now indeed, and you're looking to make the most of that deadline and get that tax incentive, then it may be a struggle. We don't have very long for you to find a buyer. It is possible, it is doable, but it's really tight. You'd need the right buyer, the right solicitor, the right mortgagee, and it would be really tight. So whatever you do, make sure you've got the right people behind you. And that means getting the right estate agent that can jump all over things quickly and efficiently. The right solicitor is going to be critical to the process, making sure they have time and capacity. So there are plenty of good solicitors out there. They don't necessarily have the capacity to handle the caseload at the moment, not because they're not a really good firm, just because this has really been unprecedented and quite unanticipated. So many firms that have laid off staff are now struggling with the workload they've got. And now it's got even more intense, So that's something to bear in mind. And who knows? Hopefully, Rishi will see sense and the stamp duty deadline will either be extended or stamp duty will be abolished. Can you imagine that? Nah, me neither. Too easy a tax to collect, in my opinion. I hope he does, but I think he won't. Let's hope so. Anyway, apart from that, property investors using companies. More companies were created for buy-to-let investors than ever before. And it now stands at a total of 228,743 companies. It's jumped 128% since 2016. And this is because the advantage of a buy-to-let limited company is that you can offset the tax bill, the interest bill on your tax bill. So for instance, if you've got a mortgage payment of £1,000 and a rental of £1,200, you can offset 100% of that £1,000 against your tax bill if you're a limited company. You can't do that as an individual anymore. So is it worth you doing that, going over to a limited company? Well, there are many considerations, and this is not financial advice, but just consider that, first of all, in order to put it in the portfolio, you're probably going to have to declare a sale, and that will involve stamp duty possibly. There are other ways around it, but they all seem a bit questionable and speculative to me. If you're going for a new portfolio, then it's a no-brainer, especially if you're looking at a large acquisition of property over time. It could be in your interest to look at a buy-to-let limited company. But if you're a small investor and just with 1 or 2 properties, then you've got to ask yourself, does the end justify the means in terms of the cost and structure of the company, the accounting requirements, and the hassle that will bring for you? But yeah, interesting to see that lots more buy-to-let companies out there now establishing themselves, and buy-to-let is professionalizing, and that has to be a good thing for tenants. In the long term, as I've said many times, I'm afraid rents are likely to be pushed upwards as the sector professionalizes, because professionals, unlike many accidental landlords, are looking to maximize income. That's what companies do by definition, isn't it? Is get the most income they can, and that takes people out of it to a degree. So I do expect that in the next few years, rental yields will go up considerably because we're just not building enough stuff. Londoners leaving the city for the southern counties. This is an interesting one, but certainly one we've talked about before, said many times. Many of the clients that we're talking to now, there's an exodus of people out of London going to holiday type destinations and beauty spots. And this has been a common trend since the pandemic. We found that people are now telecommuting, commuting from home, realizing that perhaps they can work from home and this can be a permanent thing, meaning that they can live wherever they want as long as it's got good broadband. So the consideration for broadband is a massive thing right now. Even that may be taken out in time. Now we've got SpaceX and the ability to obtain internet anywhere in the world shortly from satellite. That should change things again, meaning that even those with low internet speeds will become more appealing for people. But yeah, the trend is that research from Hamptons International revealed that the average age of Londoners buying homes outside of the capital has dropped. It's now just 39 compared to 47. I suppose where it's more people heading towards retirement, more oldies. Now the average London leaver spends £358,000 on their home outside the capital. That's £100,000 less than in the city. You can see where the appeal is there. And they've also named the top towns. What are the top towns? And I'll give you those top towns at the end of the show. Stamp duty break will lead to 44,000 fewer new homes. There will be 44,000 fewer new homes built if the government does not extend the stamp duty holiday, according to research. The major property slump will take hold after the tax break ends on 31st, according to Capital Economics, forcing builders to scale back their plans and adding to the housing crisis. That's an interesting point and hopefully not lost on our Rishi. So the government's target was for 300,000 property to be built in a year. And in 2020, it's dropped by 30,000 because of the pandemic. So hopefully he'll see that. So I hope you're having a good day today. We've got quite a busy one on a few take-ons today, a few new instructions coming up and still tying up sales now. The level of new instructions coming on has slowed. People are realizing that it's quite tight now, I think, to make that deadline with a buy and sell and perhaps considering their position. And hopefully, what I'm really hopeful of is if they do nothing regarding stamp duty and the deadline does hold and he doesn't give us the added incentive of an extension on that, then the pandemic will abate somewhat with a vaccine, on top of which the weather will be milder. Because traditionally, spring is when we get busy. When the weather breaks a bit, it's a little bit brighter. People feel more motivated, and it's a time when a lot of families decide, right, now's the time, the garden's looking pretty. Bless you. And, we've got the flowers coming out, the spring flowers coming out, and it's always a lovely time for photographs. We love taking photographs in the springtime. And, it does make homes look better. We've got particularly in areas in Norbury, like Pollard's Hill, where the spring planting, they always plant bulbs, and the level of daffodils there is just unprecedented. It's just literally like a sea of yellow around there. Really beautiful. So that's that. Apart from that, lots of letting scenes going on. A common question we're getting asked is about notices and notice periods. Again, this is not legal advice, but if you have a tenant in and you need to provide them with a notice, Section 21s are still valid at the moment, although we know that may change shortly. And Section 8, Ground 8, where you're going for rent arrears, you still need 2 months rent to be outstanding, but then after you've got 2 months rent outstanding, you need to provide 6 months notice to tenants. Ouch. Yeah, I know, 6 months. And then after that, you can take legal action. And at the moment, those things are very slow. Now, back to these cities. Where is everybody going from London when they're migrating out? Well, in southern England, the biggest winners are Sevenoaks in Kent, Windsor, and Maidenhead, Oxford, Epsom and Ewell and Brighton. We found a lot of people going up north as well, places like the Lake District and the like. So it's a really interesting time. It's interesting to see the new spread of where people are able to move. And that's one thing the internet does do, isn't it? It allows us mobility and freedom in that way, which has got to be good news longer term, hopefully. So I hope you have a great day today. That's it for Ken at 10 today. As always, if you've enjoyed the show, please do like and share. It helps us to reach a larger community and keep providing a show for you. So take care, stay safe and well. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 for another show.